Welcome, welcome, West Point family, to another edition of Tuesdays at 2. Today, we got a debut runner, first time starter on the Tuesdays at 2 train here, Miguel Clement, stepping in to take us through the West Point runners for the Clement Barn. Miguel, welcome.
Thank you very much for having me.
Great to have you. Always a pleasure to talk to you, talk to Christoph. We obviously love the entire Clement operation. Thanks for joining us on short notice. Those of you who are well versed in New York racing and specifically the Clement Barn will probably know this already, but Miguel is a pivotal part of that operation and more of a co-trainer than an assistant trainer. Other parts of the world reflect that kind of role. For instance, the official leading trainers in England last year were John and Thady Gosden, a father and son team, and it's listed that way in each and every race entry for their stable. They operate under what's considered to be a joint training license. Miguel, is that the way you see things heading in American racing?
It probably is going to head that way, to be honest. It's just a question of time. And but regardless, it's always a team effort. There's a lot more than just one or two individuals in it. It's a team. You need the right team to get places from point A to point B for any horse's career. And you have to have a good team. That's like the most important part, regardless of whose name is on the program.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have a lot of horses to run through, so I'm going to keep this pretty brief, but a quick introduction to Miguel. Graduated from the University of Duke and the 2-year Godolphin Flying Start program before working for 2 years under trainer Hugo Palmer in England, and he settled in full-time with his father beginning in 2017. Miguel, are you guys going to be based up at Saratoga this spring and summer again?
Yeah, not currently here. The stable's up. I just made my trip myself 2 days ago, and the rest of the horses are following us. Just closed up pacing today, to be honest. And that's exciting. It's exciting here. It's beautiful. There's gonna be a different buzz to Saratoga this year because you have the Belmont Stakes for a week. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm very excited it's here, but I think we missed a week of racing at Belmont at the Big A. So whenever I have an option between more racing or less racing, I always pick more because I love racing. And but it's exciting to be here, and we'll hopefully have some couple of runners that week.
Absolutely. Let's get on to the individual horses. We'll go alphabetically here. We'll start with Atomic Blonde. Atomic Blonde is a 5-year-old mare who was bred in Germany. This is her second season in America. She's coming off a really nice second place finish in the Grade 3 Bewitched Stakes last time out at Keeneland, April 26th, in her first start of the year. That was her 5th stakes placing since arriving to the U.S. I think sooner rather than later, she's going to break through and get that stakes win for us. Miguel, tell us what you thought about that race and how she looks physically coming back as a 5-year-old.
I thought it was a very good race. It was her first race back. It was a strong performance. We were fortunate with a scratch of Warlike Goddess in there. Nevertheless, she trained very well. She looked great. She ran. She scoped well after her. And it was great that she started back the year on a good note. Because last year, I thought she tailed off a bit in her last 2 starts. Nevertheless, I won't lie to you. From the 3/8 to the quarter pole, I know Joel well. And when he was tracking him on the inside, I really believed in the filly. I know she ran Portland, Canada, but I'm convinced she would be a bit better with the cut in the ground as well. But the day was firm. And this is awesome. She ran second in the Bewitched in her first start back. I know we have not won a race with her yet in America, but I mean, she's produced 5 or 6 very good efforts, and we're seeming to be knocking on the door. But she's fun. I'm delighted we kept her for another year, and maybe we can get lucky, hopefully the neshe's starts. But she's been a great addition.
Yeah, absolutely. It was great to see her bounce back after the way her 4-year-old season ended to come back with that big run. She's an adorable horse, I would say, with the big ears. She's got like the mule ears. Like, she's very, very distinct looking, and we're big fans of her at West Point. Let's move on to our Grade 1 winner, Carson's Run. Carson's Run obviously won the Grade 1 Summer Stakes as a 2-year-old in 2023. Won first time out last summer at Saratoga as well. So he stepped up as the year went on and kept producing big efforts. Things didn't really go his way in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf last November. We gave him a winter break, came back at the end of April in the Woodhaven Stakes up at Aqueduct. First part of that race went fine. He was in a really good spot along the rail, pretty quick pace in front of him, but then he lost some position and he veered out severely, turning for home. Couldn't recover from that, ran 4th, was eventually DQ'd to 5th. Miguel, do you have any conclusions on what caused him to do that, drift out like that? And what approach do you guys take to try to avoid a recurrence of that?
So it's still under discussion, to be completely honest. It depends who you ask as to what took place. So first off, let's go back to we ran. We won first time out, great. We ran and got beat by the filly at Mott's somehow in the with anticipation. I still can't get over it. That happens. It's great. We're on back of 2 weeks winning Canada. Amazingly straightforward. maybe not moving as fluid as he should if you want to be critical. Before the British Cup, a touch stiff, not bad. Running the British Cup, I was a little disappointed in the results, so let's give him the winter off and bring him back because the horse we beat in Canada did finish, I think, place in the British Cup. So I mean, the form line's encouraging, and there should not have been that much of a separation. Winter off, he looks tremendous at Kinsman. Comes joins us at Payson, looks well, touch fat in a good way. He enjoyed his time off. His works were not as good, I thought, coming into this race as they were previously, and we had a few little setbacks going up in the year. Nevertheless, his last couple of works, it was improving, and he's back on the mend. And in his works, if you wanted to be critical, he was a touch lazy, which is ironic because he was like laid off, switched off, touch lazy. And on race day, which was funny enough, as he was a bit keen, he broke sharp, and he was a little bit keen for Dylan throughout. So the race day was not the same as what we have in the mornings leading up to the race. I was a little worried that he was a bit too docile. And they were at a good position. And what I didn't particularly love is that Dylan got shuffled back further and further back. I think we're sitting in fourth early on. And I think it was like a 7-horse field. But at the 3/8, we found ourselves last. I'm not really sure how that happened even to this moment. And then Dylan, the question is, Dylan's adamant that the horse turned right, which is a bit of a problem when you're running left-handed. And he tried to bolt to go outside. And I think Dad kind of agrees with Dylan that the horse just bolts. I'm not sure why. He's never been an issue. I've never had an issue with not turn well. I've had that issue with few horses in my life, but never him. I've had him for a long time. He's straight as an arrow with me in the mornings. A bit lazy if you want to be critical, but never a question of being erratic or difficult turning. And it was very odd. Did he overcorrect him when he tried to pull him out? Because you know that the horse of Bill Mott's coming on the outside to him to keep him boxed in, and he was going the wrong way and he had plenty of horse. Don't know. Did he overcorrect him when he turned him as well? Or is it also at the apex of the turn? So as a result, he just, with his momentum, just took him out. I'm not completely sure. I would normally have an idea if this happened before or what we should do. It's never happened before. He never gave us that inclination before. So it's a bit tough to handicap or predict beforehand or how to prevent it from taking place again because we never had an issue. It's not a persistent issue or anything. He's amazingly straightforward. He runs in a straight line. It's the one thing that I thought about afterwards is Dylan's always said that he thought that the horse did better outside than being, engulfed by horses. So in Saratoga, he was trapped in between horses. He didn't particularly love it. When he won a Woodbine, he swung him out. When he won at Saratoga first time out, he swung him out. And he was a bit crowded in the Breeders' Cup. So Dylan does think that there's maybe a mental component to it. Without sounding rude, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's really a mental component or not. But it was a messy race. He ran better than the chart suggested. I think we got beat 4 lengths. But the incident in the turn definitely cost us several placings. And I don't know, let's just regroup, get him back to another work. And the works will tell us which way to go. It was an odd race because it wasn't expected.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, eventful for sure. So hopefully, he bounced out of that race okay, it sounds like.
He bounced out of it well. We actually were more diligent and more thorough with him than most horses after a race to make sure we didn't miss something soundness-wise. Nothing seems to be amiss. And to be honest, maybe just draw a line through it and just go on for the next one. But it was a bit tough because for a race, I thought it was a good spot for him to make his 2024 debut.
Right.
And just had to hit back to the drawing board, I suppose.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll move on to Don't Be Bashful. Don't Be Bashful hasn't raced yet. He's a 3-year-old unraced New York bred. He's finishing up a little respite with Bruce Jackson in Maryland. He was right about ready to be entered in March, and he developed a little bit of a stress fracture in his right front leg. He's coming up on 60 days since that injury. He'll be due for a follow-up exam shortly. I know that he was a horse that, he would have a great work and then a not so great work. What was your take on him when he was in the stable? And I know you don't mind that sire, Liam's Matt.
I'm a big fan of the stallion at the moment. We've got several by him that we like a lot, that we're looking forward to, including even a Tiroless right now working very fast. That might run soon. So Don't Be Bashful. He came into us from Kinsman Farm a bit late. He had small little setbacks, nothing significant. Joined us, and at first it took him a while to get going. And then towards the later part of the winter, he was really starting to work well. Not many people know, but we actually used him to work deterministic a few times, and he gave him more than he could handle when deterministic was on his way back, his first couple of works. And I was looking forward to him. It's ever since we put a pair of blinkers. I was at touch laxadays ago. We put a pair of blinkers in Louis Saez one morning, and that really woke him up. And from that point onwards, I think every work has been consistently well. We had a race pinned out in Aqueduct, and we shipped him 2 weeks before the race, hoping to work him once in New York and make sure he was well settled. And it was a disappointing work. It was the first disappointing work we had in about 4 to 5 weeks. And it was with a specific jock, and I still am puzzled to this day. So I said, let's not run him. Let's wait. Rework him because it doesn't make sense. Something must be amiss if he works poorly because he was working very well up to that point. And then sure enough, I put another jock on him. It worked very well. And my own riders ride him. Subsequently, it worked very well. And we had a race that weekend, and he came back out of the last work with an issue. Fortunately, we caught it in time, so it was nothing we need to do surgically, which is always great because I always feel like when you do something surgically, it always worries me a touch more than if it was just time needed. And I could run a bit, and he's dirt, which is nice. He's dirt, you can run a bit. I just have to get him back. It's an annoying setback, but it wasn't surgical, so hopefully there's nothing we have to worry about. So just give him the time, and he'll come back and he'll reward us for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes those things can be a blessing in disguise. Young horses come back stronger and better when they have a little bit of a break before they start first out. Let's move on to Don't Look Back at All. She is the star of the moment right now. She got her first stakes win on Sunday at Aqueduct. I was there. That was a lot of fun. It was in the license fee stakes, and she led home Gal in a Rush for a 1-2 finish for West Point and the Clements. Doesn't get better than that, except for maybe a dead heat that I know Christoph was rooting for down the stretch. Miguel, like, what a fun filly she's been. She was a debut winner as a 2-year-old at Saratoga, and she's been so honest and consistent since then. She's been first or second 9 times in 11 races, now a stakes winner, like I said. Tell us about the good position we're in with this filly. Not only is she back and better than ever as a 4-year-old, I mean, she'll be looking towards the Grade 2 Intercontinental Stakes, I think, during Belmont weekend at Saratoga over a course and distance that you would think is right up her alley.
Yeah, without a doubt. Most likely the Intercontinental needs to be heavily discussed. I thought it was a brilliant ride by Irad. He let the speed go, not getting a speed duel with a filly. He let Lady Milagro go, and he was able to basically lead the second pack, which is the rest of the field. He always had the leader measured, and he was just worried about, basically, to be honest, the stablemate. Irad's in great form. He's been running very well. He's had several winners for West Point, I believe, this week. It always helps when you have someone like Irad on their back. And she's fun. I think the only 2 times she's not hit ran first or second was when she ran fourth in those stakes as a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
We were a bit disappointed when she ran fourth twice as a 2-year-old in the stakes because we liked her a lot. She was very impressive first time out, and as a result, we experimented a little bit too much perhaps with her as a 3-year-old. You know, we tried stretching her a mile at Gulfstream, then we brought her back on the Tapeta at Presque Isle, then we ran her back on dirt, and she kept running first or second, but she didn't quite click again. And then we brought her back sprinting on the grass, which is what she did originally. And then she just took it to another level. And she's been improving ever since. And she's very exciting. She's also Pennsylvania bred. And you've got several options in that way if you ever want to go there to win a stakes, just for fun. And but she's fun. She could run. She's consistent. She's got tactical speed, which makes her very dangerous. Anywhere from 5 furlongs to 6 furlongs, she's game. Even a race at Gulfstream, she produced a very strong figure. And especially at Aqueduct on that turf course, which I do believe is speed favoring. Speed's always dangerous, especially on a speed track.
Yeah. I mean, she's so cool. And like you mentioned, like you did a little experimenting with her last year. And it's not like she stunk up the joint. She was second going a mile, second on the Presque Isle synthetic, and then 1 on the dirt at Park. So she's just as honest as they come, shows up every time. Another real honest filly was the horse who ran second to her, Gal in a Rush. Also has a very positive outlook. She finished really strong. That was her first race off the layoff. She hadn't been seen in I think 6 or 7 months or so. So that was a big time effort. And Miguel, you just mentioned that the Aqueduct turf course can be a little speed friendly. Would the Intercontinental be in the cards for her as well, or do you think 5.5 maybe is a little bit short for her?
Gallon Rush is a fun filly. We liked her a lot as a 2-year-old. Let's go back. She was a good filly for us as a 2-year-old. 3-year-old, she's a bit unlucky. She didn't do poorly for us. I think she was placed in the stakes in Canada called the Ali Wow Stakes. She was unlucky in the sense that 2 or 3 times her races were taken off the grass, which was not ideal. And she was probably a better 3-year-old than we were able to show her because she was always unlucky. And then I think in her last start last year, or as a 3-year-old, she'd do a sprint. And when she came back as a 4-year-old, that's where she really started clicking and showing us to another level. She was unlucky first time out. I think Jose somehow dropped the stick, and we We got beat a nose by a long shot. That was painful to watch. Came back, was unlucky, slow pace, flying late. And then she won two on the bounce. And then we had to deal with the whole Kentucky Downs saga, which I'll never forget before. That's a story for another time. And then this winter, I promise you, she trained even better this winter than she did last year. And that's why I was very bullish. If you asked me which one of the two I was sure is going to run a big race, it was Ghana Rush. She looked great. She put on weight. She's got stronger. She's one of the few horses when they train and they gallop, they're thriving. They're bucking and squealing in a happy way. I mean, she was really enjoying her work. She's a touch of a non-sweater, so she likes the cool weather more than the summer heat. So the fall time's gonna be even better than the summer and springtime. I'm sure of that. As long as you keep her sound and happy. And it's not fair for her because she should be a stakes winner. I'm sure we'll get there one day. It's just she needs to win a stakes because she's got the ability to be a stakes winner. She's consistent. She's sound. She does everything right. She should be a stakes winner. It's our job to make sure we get her to win a stakes because the talent is there. The question is, you also run both West Point Phillies and Intercontinental. Is there another stakes on the horizon that we're able to? Because I think a lot of the big names are going to go there. It doesn't matter. Just train her, reassess, you nominate to everything, and then you look and you see what you have as your options. But when they're this good, just look after their well-being and they kind of guide you in the right direction. But I wouldn't worry about the distance. Yes, 5.5 is a bit short, but we said that last time, and she won at Saratoga rather impressively. So I don't like the idea of 5. At 5.5, she probably is good enough where she carries us. That's what good horses do. They bail us out. And she's been bailing us out for a while, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, she's rock solid, just like Don't Look Back at All. That was two barn favorites, really, 1-2 on Sunday. That was a heck of a day. So we'll move on to another stakes winner, Cortez. Cortez is another horse that you guys did a great job having ready to roll on his first start of the year. First chance since being acquired from a sale in Europe last fall, and he got a grade 2 win right off the bat in the Pan American Stakes at Gulfstream. Great ride from Joel Rosario that day. Now he's sitting on go for this Saturday's Grade 2 Man of War Stakes. Miguel, give us your read on Cortez coming off that win, and how do you think the Man of War is shaping up?
So first and foremost, the Man of War is a crime that's not a grade 1. I can
Oh
list
yeah,
off many good horses. It always used to be a grade 1. This is the
absolutely.
first year it's downgraded. And I
Yeah,
bet you after this year, they might even upgrade it again. Knowing the field that's going to face us, it's a
yeah,
proper race.
yeah,
But the Man of War has always been historically, you have the Man of War, the Manhattan, the Turf Classic, you also have the Sword Dancer. Those are 4 big New York grade 1s, and it should be 4 big New York grade 1s once every month and a half. So that is a crime.
yeah.
Cortez. So Cortez is a funny story. Only dad could buy a 5-year-old quirky gelding, and somehow it works. He breaks every rule when he buys horses. It's an intuition of his. You
Yeah.
can't explain it rationally. And he fell in love with a quirky 5-year-old gelding at the time in October, and as a result, here we are now. It's funny. It's just he loved the horse. I'm not sure if everyone knows the story, but he tried to buy him as a 3-year-old, and they were asking for far too much money. And then they tried to buy him as a 4-year-old, far too much money. He made an offer to buy him as a 5-year-old for far too much money, and then finally was able to get them at the end of the year. And it's great. So he actually tried to buy him many times. This horse, he had like some sort of odd obsession about Cortez. So Cortez, he's a touch quirky. He's not the most straightforward horse. He's a 5-year-old now. He's a 6-year-old gelding. He's funny about the gates. He's funny about the pony. He's funny about falling. He needs a lead at all times. There's many things he does which we think would be a project, but he just does it because of vice, but in a playful manner. He knows he can get away with things. He's an older horse and he's wise. He's very smart. And you have to bluff him every day training. So when he brings the gates, you have a lead, and you have something. So he fools him. Oh, we found ourselves at the gates, and he looks left, right, and he realizes I'm at the gates now. This was unexpected. If you just bring him to the gates straightforward by himself, he sees it coming and he won't go. It's he's done that many times. He's done that to dad also once on the grass when breezing at Payson. So we no longer breeze him on the grass at Payson because that was a whole debacle one day. But the horse has always been amazingly talented. His works have been between good to spectacular. I thought before his race, his 2024 debut, his works were good, and he really elevated since then. His last work at Payson, I told Dad, was spectacular, and the race work before that, Dad was there for it. It was a very, very good work. He made a mockery of Tony Port in the morning. Tony Port's a good horse.
Yeah.
He's working better. If you believe in the cardio, he's sitting on a better race now than ever. His only thing is his form. He doesn't win often. Even the other day, he looked like he was going to win for fun, and he just got up because he's a bit, he idles, he thinks about things. He doesn't win by 5, 6 lengths. He'll just get up type of thing. So we've been training him every day in company, and in the later part of the works, just to teach him to go by a little bit, just to help remind him that he needs to go by. Because even on race day, even though we all thought he was sure to win at Gulfstream, the final margin of error was a photo finish at the end of the day. So I'm sure there was more talent than he showed that day. It's just he's a touch quirky. I'm not sure how many people were at the races that day, but it took a while to go in the in the starting gates, and then it took a while to get in the winning enclosure. And that's him. He's peculiar. You just have to think about it. But I'm very excited for the way he's training. He's training spectacularly well. He's going well with his weight, and the rain. We have a bit of a bad forecast at Belmont. It's perfect for him. A little
Yeah.
cut in the ground is right up his alley, and he's sitting on a major race. I would not be surprised if we see a better performance this weekend than he did his last starts, because I'll be very disappointed if he doesn't run a good race.
Yeah, well, I agree with a lot of that. The Man of War not being a great one, I'm right there with you. Funny how only the New York races seem to get downgraded, none of the Kentucky races. But yeah, I mean, he was terrific first off the bench. You guys did a great job getting him ready, and he can be as quirky as he wants as long as he keeps showing up and winning. And he's as a 6-year old seems as good as ever. Lady Mia's next. She's coming off another comeback victory. I'm sensing a theme here. We're coming off a lot of wins to talk about these horses, which is always a great thing. She won at Aqueduct on April 27th. That was the same day that Carson's run ran. That was pretty powerful. And it was a great ride from Irad. You know, you extolled the virtues of Irad Ortiz earlier. He did a great job with her. It was great to see her switch off and not need to lead and still run her race. How about being able to take advantage of her condition? So she's won 5 times now, but she's still eligible for a second level allowance. So what kind of course do you guys plot for her?
Yeah, so to be honest, West Point deserves a lot of credit for Lady Mia. We purchased her from Europe. She didn't have the greatest form, but she had a good, encouraging form. She's eligible for a starter, so we brought her back. We ran an allowance. I don't know what happened first time out, but she ran poorly, which didn't make sense because her works at pacing were very good. She had a soundness question marks, so leave her alone for a bit, bring her back. And when we brought her back, we were expecting a big performance. And to be honest, I mean, in hindsight, it makes sense. Don't look back at all one day other than that day, considering she's stakes winner now. But at the time, if you ask us which one we liked, I think the overwhelming majority thought Lady Nia was going to give a bigger account of herself too. I mean, we didn't expect to be a walkover like it was that day. So that her North American debut was baffling. Didn't quite figure it out. Came back, won the starter impressively with Manny. And then the big question is, do you run her a mile or do you run her 5/8? Because there was the end of the turf season up north. And we decided to give her a break because it didn't make sense, I think, to run her over the wrong distance and trip. Gulfstream is a certain type. To be 5 furlongs, you need to be fast, sprinter like, and it's not quite entirely her game. And it's a 2 turns mile, which I thought was maybe just a touch on the far side. And so we were fortunate to give her a break, and we were rewarded. I thought she came back. She was sounder than ever. She looked great. She put on more weight than ever, and it's great. Where right off the bat, she wins the air then for fun. So and she only did it off with 3 works off of Kinsman Farm. I mean, Kinsman never stressed her much. 3 easy works, just keep her sound and happy. That's all you need to do with turf sprinters. We need to try the Tour then next. Just make it common sense. She's already black type being from Europe, so she has residual value. And just try to knock off as many of the conditions as you can while just, going up there slowly. But she's fun. She's like fun. I think she's won 2 of her 3 starts for us in America.
Yeah, absolutely. She bounced right back from that puzzling US debut, like you said, now with 2 wins. Another great job to prepare her off the layoff to win a couple weeks ago at Aqueduct. Let's move on to one of the newcomers. This is a newcomer, the More Than Ready colt from the OBS April sale, and we still have a little bit of availability left on him. He's an absolute powerhouse. Got him from the Randy Miles consignment, so where we also got Carson's run last year. This horse is a chestnut, has that similar look, but has more sire power, I would say, being by More Than Ready. So many pathways to consider with a son of More Than Ready. Miguel, what was your take on this call? I know you guys were fond of him, and that's why you had one of your owners stay in for a piece. What's your take?
No, I agree. To be honest, I did not know him that well. The reason why he got on my radar is because Randy, who we're very close to, Randy Miles, said I had to look at him. Actually, he didn't say I had to look at him. I'll be honest, he said I had to buy him. So he said it like that. We've had a lot of working and dealings with Randy, and he only said that to me maybe once a year. Well, last year was Carson's, this year was him. It's a no-brainer. It's I think I put Steve Boucher, who's also involved with Carson's run, just to keep the whole connection going. Hoping, maybe lightning strikes twice. So this is the chestnut as well from Randy Miles with the same partner. And I saw him physically. I liked him a lot. Randy always liked him. All winter long, he's only just told me about two horses. I like that because a lot of times I'll ask the consigners about horses months in advance because horses change, but usually the really good ones are you know them about several months in advance. If you ask me today what my best horse is, and you ask me that question 3 months from now, 6 months later, 9 months later, you'll notice a lot of them, the best ones, will be the same names that recirculate. So I do that with the consigners often. And Randy's always mentioned two horses he always liked the most, and this was one of two. 4 months before the sales, 2 months before the sales, a few weeks before the sales, even before he prepped them. Then after he prepped, and then he said, "Go for it." So I love that. And for me, that was a big pro, and it's a big positive when someone likes the horse and keeps believing in it and stand by it. We might get it wrong. We all get it wrong in life. But I like when people have an opinion, and he's been more right than wrong, which not many people you could say that about. So it's a no-brainer. Good looking, powerful type. I'm surprised you've not sold him yet, so I need to give a tough time to Tom Bellhouse. But I mean, I do like him. I'm surprised because there's plenty of quality to him.
Yeah,
He's
no, just
a May 5th full, I think, which surprised me because when you look at him, there's nothing small about him. He's
yeah.
powerful, he's advanced, he's quick, he's nice, he's a lot we want, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. And you would think kind of dual surface capabilities too with that pedigree. Yeah, I think we only have about 10% left on him. He's a monster. So if you're watching and you're kind of on the fence, definitely suggest that you jump in for a piece of him. I think he's going to be a real fun one for the Clements and for us this summer and fall. Let's move on to Parnak. This was like kind of the only bummer recently. She was the grade 2 Flower Bowl winner at Saratoga last summer, had her first start of the year on Friday in the grade 3 Sheepshead Bay. She finished 5th, was getting a good trip, but she flattened out like she needed the race. Miguel, could you tell us about kind of a balancing act you have to have with a horse like Parnak? We gave her extra time in the winter so that we could have a fresh horse for the summer and fall. But there's so many races going out there going long on the turf. How did she bounce out of that race, and where do we go with her now?
So Parnak, she's so when she came from Europe, we loved her. I nearly thought about running her in a big race right off the bat, and our race did not go, and we had a setback. Something stupid took place. I think the race was off the grass about once and everything, and so she ran against the older mares because I got fed up. I didn't want to wait forever, and she got beat against older mares, but she ran a very good race. Came back, just missed at Saratoga, ran a poor race. I don't know why, and then she won a race at the end of the year, and we ran off like 2 weeks rest and ran poorly. But her 3-year-old form was a bit muddied because her works were better than her races, and it wasn't quite clear. We were running a bit shorter than she wanted, but it was like a straight 3-year-old filly. So that's the big question: do you run against older horses with the right distance, or do you run against your age group over the wrong distance? That's a big discussion point. Same as any horse in the division. Do you ride them over the right distance, but against tougher competition, or the wrong distance or surface, but against the weaker competition? Happens time and time again. Same as like when you have a New York bred that wants to go really long on a surface, do you want to run against New York breds? This is a discussion point. She might have been victim of not running against the right surface. Nevertheless, her last year's form was encouraging. She ran in the wrong stakes at Gulfstream, blame us, mile 16th, too short. Came back, she stayed, and she ran very well in the Tour then. And then she ran a great race in the Robert Dick, which was unlucky. She wins the Flower Bowl, terrific. And then she started moving less well. We ran in the wire, and in the wire, she came back a bit stiff and sore. So gave her some time. The big part with the Parnak is that we would love to have her firing August, September, October, November, because you have a lot of races. You have Canada has 2 big races, Kentucky Down has a big race, Saratoga has 2 big races. The fall is a big deal. Keeneland has a big race as well. So you need to make sure you do everything you can to make sure that you're sound for the fall, because the fall is a big deal. And there's many more options in the fall than you do in the spring. And that's why we decided to bring her back, give her a long break, and bring her back maybe a little bit later than usual. So we paid for it in the Sheepshead Bay. I thought she was fit enough to get away with it. She was a bit keen and traveling strong. It's annoying we lost the battle on that one, but I still think the main objective for Parnak is to have her ticking over for all these big races you have, particularly July all the way till November. That's the big deal. And I do expect her to be a big force in there. It comes on fitness. I get it. I think it was just the fitness, not the class or the ability that got us beat last time. But she'll be ready for the next one. And hopefully she can have the whole year with us uninterrupted.
Yeah,
But
no
the big
doubt.
deal is the fall for her. We need to make sure that she's ready for the fall. So you have a lot of big races, the Flower Bowl. I mean, you have a lot of big races for that division in the fall. That's where you need to really make sure that she's 100% ready for, and you run as many of them can and try to strike as many as you can.
The Flower Bowl was so cool because it was serendipitous. They made a scratch out of the allowance race because a couple horses had gone down coming out of the Robert Dick Stakes on that soft turf at Delaware. So they made us scratch. We end up entering the Flower Bowl short field, and she goes wire to wire. That was really one of the highlights of 2023 for the West Point Stable, and I'm sure for you guys as well. Let's move on to another 2-year-old. This is Wrighton. Wrighton is a recently named 2-year-old Cantheros colt. He's a New York bred who's already worked a couple of times for Christoph at Payson. He was scheduled to move on to Saratoga, but he was slightly off at the end of last week. Christoph opted to have him monitored this week down at Kinsman Farm in Ocala before deciding on next steps. Miguel, any further context on that front? What's been the assessment so far based on his couple of short works?
So he's good looking. He's plenty. I know it's Cantharos, but he's actually a lot more broken down than Cantharos. He's tall, leggy, big, powerful looking, very straightforward to train. Had a small question mark in front. It's not bad. Just you never want to stress 2-year-olds, especially at that time of age, especially someone like his frame that are not supposed to be early precocious, that are not supposed to be. I'm sure his better days would be more 3, 4-year-olds than 2, and you just don't want to stress them if they're not perfect, especially a product like that. So if you're supposed to be an early 2-year-old, you go on with it anyway as long as it's safe. But I feel like sometimes if you just want to take your time with it. Sure enough, he was slightly off in front. I suspect it was both front suspensories. I sent him to Kinsman because we were based in Florida before I brought him to Saratoga. I think they're going to agree with it. They're going to block him and do diagnostics tomorrow, and they'll scan him tomorrow. And I wouldn't be surprised if it is both his front suspensories, more left than right, or more right than left, I meant, because I thought they were both a bit thick. Hopefully, it's just baby immaturity, 30 days or 60 days or whatever they want to do is fine. I'd be shocked if there's anything more than that. I don't think there is. I'm usually spot on about this type of thing, and I liked him, to be honest with you. I thought it was quality. He wasn't look like he's going to run May or June anyway, so I guess the time off would not be a bad thing for him. And his quality, I did. We worked him enough for me to know. I do think he is quality. He's good looking. He has a great hind leg, and he's got plenty of size. So I liked him.
Nice. All right, let's move on to Slapshot. Slapshot is an unraced 3-year-old Nyquist colt. He's getting some time off, about 60 days or so, at Maya Comet Farm in Kentucky. In early April, he was diagnosed with a flare-up in his suspensory ligaments. This is a colt who showed a lot of promise as a 2-year-old last summer, Miguel, but he kind of tailed off, it seemed, as he got closer to a race assignment. How do you see that? Did he plateau, or does that diagnosis kind of give you some hope that he's going to come back to being that horse he was or he looked like last summer?
So it's surprising because he was actually Dad's favorite yearling purchase that he did. He went and he bought like I think 9 yearlings in that Sarah Keelan sale, and he was actually Dad's favorite. Was the slop shot, and big expectations. He comes with us. He was a deterministic's work partner in Saratoga for the first 3 works, and then he came back with a small chip in front. So you remove it, you give it time. Some people would have injected and go on. Usually with 2-year-olds, we like to be conservative. When they're not moving great, leave them alone, because if you want to have a good 4-year-old, 5-year-old, 6-year-old, you name it, you need to look after them. So it's 2 different train of thoughts. Do you do everything you can to make as much races now and get them to the race as many times, or do look after them and do everything you can for a career? I'm not saying there's one that's right or wrong. It's like the Wesley Ward approach compared to, there is no right or wrong, but we're more of the school of thought that's anything that could jeopardize the career of a horse. You should never do anything that could jeopardize the career of a horse. You should always look after the well-being. Plus, in addition to well-being, what can you do to maximize a horse's career? So we leave him alone, bring him back, and then the first couple of works were okay, but he didn't quite improve, which upset us. And he got to a level of fitness where he should have been improving. It wasn't a fitness question mark. And I do think the soundness is what was preventing us from taking his works to another level. So it's frustrating. It's annoying. It's frustrating and annoying because he looks so well. And there's no excuse for him not being good. He's well bred. He's physically makes the part, so he should be better. Were we just frustrated? Yeah, of course we're frustrated. He's a very good looking type, and he should have been working like to the next stage. We got our fair share of good dirt horses this winter with us at Payson, and we expected him to be one of them, to be completely honest. So as of now, we are disappointed with him. Thankfully, we have a reason for his works. Is it 100% because of his soundness question mark? We hope so. I mean, he looks the part, so hopefully he's able to show it for us the next time he comes back.
Definitely does look the part. You're right about that. So hopefully he'll come back around when he's ready to resume training. Pop back to the 2-year-olds. We got another New York bred 2-year-old named the Great Chain. He's the son of Lauban. We picked up at the Facing New York bred Saratoga sale last summer. He's an imposing colt. Eddie Woods took a liking to him in Ocala. Christoph brought him in for a couple works that went well at Payson. He did spike a temperature at the end of at the end of last week. Miguel, where do we stand with that? Other than that, which should hopefully just be a blip on the radar, how does the Great Chain strike you?
So he's medium built, he's compact, he's very athletic, he's a fun horse. His works were his works were actually quite nice. He knew his job. His works were nice. He showed ability. He's athletic. He's handy, and he played with a few 2-year-olds. To be honest with you, now he's got ability. He spiked an ugly temperature. Um, Nothing worrisome for us. Just an ugly timing for a temperature. It's the days I was supposed to leave to come to Saratoga, so I had to leave him behind. I don't particularly love that. He's at a good place at the moment. He's at Kinsman Farm, and which was safe. It was only like a 2-hour van drive from Payson compared to doing a 24-hour van trip to Saratoga. He was in no he was in no condition to make that long trip, and he'll just have to join us later. I do like him. I don't know about how early he is. I'll just tell you that now because every time you stress him out, I guess he takes it a little bit more than he should, and I do like him. I promise you, he's okay. This guy. Yeah, I would be shocked if he doesn't perform at an early stage with us because his works are handy and he's a handy looking horse. He's athletic, and like we had him a bit at pace and he did very well.
Yeah, and I think he was one of the most improved at Eddie's as well. He really bulked up, gained muscle over the winter. And I think impressed Eddie more and more as he went along. So he'll be back. He'll be up at Saratoga in short order, and hopefully we'll see him up there briefly. Let's go to Winning Spirit. Winning Spirit, pretty much buddies with Cortez. The two of them came over at the same time last year from Europe. He was a multiple stakes winner, runner up in the Group 2 Italian Derby last year. We had him entered for a grade 2 at Keeneland, and I know this is a sore spot, Miguel, as it should be. The state vet scratched him on the morning of the race due to question marks about one of his hocks, but he subsequently underwent a series of diagnostic tests with Dr. Bramlage, shown no issues, so that was definitely a frustrating scratch. He's back galloping in New York. Could you give us your take, Miguel, on what happened with the state vet and where we stand with getting Winning Spirit into the starting gate?
I'll give you the PG rated event that will happen with the state vet. So I think the stable we monitor Samus very closely, and I think we do take great pride in that. So I think we've had like 3 vet scratches in the last 2 years or 3 years, and 2 of the 3 happened with West Point, and 2 of the 3 happened in Kentucky, and of course those 2 of the 3 happened with the same vet. So I mean, I don't know. It's just I hope it's a bad you know coincidence more than anything else. It's just Gallon Rush happened to us in Kentucky Downs, and I'm still livid because I thought she was going to run well that day. It's not every day you get to run for $1 million race. And Brumage gave her a clean bill of health, brought her back in New York, had to wait 2 weeks, breeze her for the state vet, wait for the bloods. We had to miss the Prescal Stakes that week, unfortunately. And then right when I started getting her ready, it's like 4 weeks later at Belmont, she developed a splint. And so you could have gone on, but she was a bit sore on it. She's a good filly. So once again, the train of thoughts, let's look after her because we'll have a better 5-year-old and 4-year-old, and let's make a good career. So let's look after her, give her the time now for it. And then this one was very frustrating because Winning Spirit, when they came from Europe, they both came from the same sale. We gave 30 days jogging for Cortez, and we started galloping him right away to have him ready to run in Florida. And we said, let's have Winning Spirit ready for Keeneland, late March, early April time. And so as a result, we gave him 30 days off. And believe it or not, giving him those 30 days off was very painful for us. It's painful because you had few options. He goes training into the race at Keeneland. I never had a sinus question mark. He never had a butte shot or butte anything or lameness exam. I never had to show him to my vet once. My vet was unaware of the horse, to be honest with you, because we never had a sinus question mark. There's few horses we have to follow more than others. I'm sure you can see in the bills, he never had any issues. I think the only time a vet saw him was to give him like a warmer, for example. I mean, it's nothing. It's very sound. So we get a phone call the day before the day of the race from Christoph, our assistant there, and he panics, saying, "You won't believe what's happening." But the state vet's looking because he's worried about some sort of swelling just above the hock. So I said, "Well, this is new to us. He is a horse who kicks sometimes every now and then, but that's just one of the quirks about him. I'm not particularly concerned about his well-being or soundness." So I asked him, "Is he sound?" He said, "Yeah, the horse is sound." The state vet decided to bring in two other state vets to look at it. Um, and the other two state vets agree he's sound, so he should be fine to run. But one of them was uncomfortable because he said there was swelling. He said, I won't say which vets, but he said, it might be the beginning of something more serious and we should take it serious, which we all thought was a bit of a joke, personally. I mean, if the horse is sound, he's telling you that there's nothing wrong with him and it's a miss. Is it cosmetic? Is it like some sort of bruise, inflammation? I don't know, but go back to basics. So we even said, why don't you flex him, flex his hawk if you're worried about it, and you'll see if it bites him or anything. When you flex it, you apply pressure to it. Um, Even if they're sound and you flex it, it's positive, then so be it. It makes sense. But he was sound even after flexing, so I said, you don't have to worry about it. And Christoph calls me 10, 20 minutes later and said, no, he scratched him anyway. And then I was all right, because I said, why would he scratch him if he's sound? And you flex him, he's still sound. So I didn't like the way it looked cosmetically, which thankfully I was not there because I would have said a few things which I probably would regret hindsight.
Yeah.
Um, But I said, that's fine. So he's worried about the horse having maybe like the beginning of a tibia or something ridiculous, which I said, okay, that's fine. So we'll go to Bramlage, and Bramlage can do a full lameness exam. And then just in case to protect all of us, let's do a bone scan to show him that there's nothing structurally wrong with winning spirits. So we do a lameness exam. Bramlage says he's sound, like we said, every day, which including the three vets there said he's sound. So it's a bit of a waste. And then do a bone scan, it's perfectly fine. So we submit the information, and then at the same time, we had the NIRA veterinarian team follow the case because we had a good idea what's going to take place. They're going to put us on the vet list, which is going to annoy all of us. So let's try to get our New York vets involved with it, just in case, because I have a bad feeling they're going to put us on the vet list and make us wait 2 weeks, breeze him, and then require blood, and then we have to wait for the blood results before we can enter him again. So it's quite an ordeal, as we experienced with Gallon Rush, which is very frustrating. And so even though we've said the horse is sound, and we proved to you that there's nothing wrong with this tibia, with the bone scan, everything's fine, it's good to run, they wouldn't let us off the vet list, which was very, very, very annoying. And I don't think it's really a question of whether or not they were worried about the well-being. It doesn't make sense. If you're worried about the well-being, so be it. It's fair game. We all make mistakes in life, making the wrong judgment call, and I get it. But if you're proven by science that the horse is fine, his well-being is great, he's sound, why put me on the vet list? I think it's completely wrong. We showed that he's fine on the vet list, and by doing so, he costs us other options. You can't work the horse until 2 weeks after the day to be scratched, and it's lengthy. Then we have to breeze and wait for the blood in the urine, which takes some time for that as well. So that was painful. It was very, very painful. He works, I believe, tomorrow at Belmont, subject to weather, for the state vets, and then we have to wait, submit the test and blood and urine and all that, and get it all back. And once you've cleared everything, then you're good to run. But if he's actually worried about the horse's well-being, the bone scan said he's fine. He should have just said, no, he's fine. And he should not have to breeze for the state vet, because the only purpose of breezing for the state vet is so that the horse comes back sound and they say, yes, okay to race. But he was never lame to begin with.
Right.
It's not like Kentucky where they said the failure was lame. She was not lame. And I still to this day, I said, you got it wrong. She was not lame. They're all agreeing, the three vets, that he is sound. So why do you have to breeze to say the horse is sound after the breeze when we all agree he is sound? You didn't like the way something looked, but it's benign. It's baffling. It doesn't make sense. It's wrong. We're all upset. We have the whole team involved with it. And like I mentioned to some of the other partners as well, this is also a vet who scratched Forte the morning of the Derby and didn't worry twice about putting him on the vet list. So without sounding rude, if he able to put Forte, the favorite for the Derby, make him miss the Derby and the Preakness and never, thought twice about it, I don't think he was going to be particularly worried about putting us on the vet list with winning spirits. So, I think we always fought an uphill battle. At least we know for sure he's got a clean bill of health. To be honest, I think we all knew that beforehand, but at least we could prove it after the fact. And we were hoping by doing everything the right way that he would take us off the list without having us to wait. But I think it cost us few options.
Yeah.
The issue with his timing is he cost us bad timing wise for races, which is very frustrating for those involved with winning spirits. And as much as I hate saying this, the next best logical outcome for both Atomic Blonde and winning spirits might be a stakes race at Churchill end of May.
Mm.
Yeah, I know. We'll have to discuss that because I have the same inclination. It's the most ideal race for us, but it's just maybe in the wrong state. So I just have to think about that and ponder that one a little bit more with the boss.
Yep. I mean, absolutely, absolutely has all of the talent in the world. Very frustrating situation. Thank you for explaining it so well. We will get him in the starting gate pretty soon. But yeah, that was supposed to be his 2024 debut, and it sounds like there was no legitimate reason to scratch him. But we'll move forward. Let's go back to some 2-year-olds. We have several Ocala 2-year-olds that are Saratoga bound. Before we go on to questions, wanted to run through these. We got the B Jersey filly from OBS March, the Kitten's Joy colt, Nelson Gate, the War of Will colt, Will Powered, Frosted Colt, Superpower, and a few more waiting in the wings, including the Bernardini filly, Leonora's Secret, the Liam's Map colt out of Sense of War, and the War of Will colt out of Harmony Victory that we just picked up at the OBS April sale. He's sold out. All in all, Miguel, seems like a lot to look forward to this summer with these babies.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, I think the West Point team and the stable has been quite fortunate with the 2-year-old races lately. I think last year was Carson's Run. Before that was Don't Look Back at All. Gallon Rush. I mean, you can name it. There's been many good 2-year-olds for the stable with West Point. And but yeah, no, it's exciting. It's exciting without a doubt. And I believe 2 of them are coming tomorrow, which is the B Jersey as well as the War of Will with Eddie Woods. So I'm sure Dad will say we always do better with the faster ones. So try to keep us in mind when you're the better ones. But no, I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not kidding about that, actually. I do think we do good with the good ones. But I mean, no, it's exciting. It's the future, it's the batch, and hopefully we can get lucky with them.
Yep. Hope springs eternal with the babies this time of year, and we're all looking forward to seeing them up at Saratoga with you guys. Before we move on to questions, I just also want to mention that we have Imminent Bliss, who's in Maryland and promised to appear, who's in Ocala. Both are legging back up before they return to the Clement barn. So with that, I'll open it up for questions. You can pop some into the chat. You can Q&A. You can raise your hand. You can unmute yourself and just shout your questions at us. And Miguel will be happy to answer them. But I just got to say, before we even get into the questions, I give you guys a lot of credit for your intuition and your horsemanship. Like, all of our trainers on the West Point roster do a great job, but you guys are at the top, I think, in terms of just knowing when there's something like maybe slightly amiss with a horse. And we always trust your experience and your intuition in that way. So I just want to give you guys a pop for that. Bill Flynn, my buddy Bill Flynn asks, is Carson's Run at Saratoga or still at Belmont? Any thoughts on options for his next start?
He's still at Belmont. He's still at Belmont. Dad wants to spend more time with him because he was a bit perplexed from his last race. And all options are on the table. Let's get him back to work, and the work will tell you which way to go. Hopefully we have a better gauge of what took place his last race. As mentioned before, he never did something like that, so it was a bit, maybe hopefully a one-off. But we'll see. He's at Belmont, and he'll get him back to work and then make a plan.
Sounds like Jeff Silver is unmuted or raised his hand. Jeff, you there, buddy?
Yeah. Can you
Go
hear
ahead,
me?
man.
Yeah, Miguel, how you doing?
How are you?
Sorry for Duke. You didn't do so good this year, but maybe next year.
No, but I still wear the jumper with great pride. It's a tough subject in this industry to be from Duke, considering that most of the people are from UK. I'm a minority in this profession.
All right. Well, listen, Atomic Blonde seems like every time this horse races, he races into a slow pace. Any way we can get a rabbit in the race, or find him a race where you got some early speed or something? And he's just crazy, these fractions, and he can't close into these slow paces.
I think it's a great idea. I think West Point should get us a rabbit, and I think it's one of the best questions I've ever heard in my life. So yes, I think we should give West Point a lot of grief. Find us a rabbit to get some good paces, but not just for Atomic Blonde, maybe for all the races we run in. No, it's a bit tricky. So pace is the name of the game. A lot of people say pace makes the race. But she's also running over, most times they're not over a trip more than a mile and a quarter, mile and a half. So there are turf marathons. You do expect the pace to be a bit slower. Sometimes you're the lucky beneficiary from a slow pace. And unfortunately, she's a bit of a victim from slow pace. She has a beautiful way of going. The only issue is coming from Europe. just a bit ingrained into them that she's not very quick out of the gates. So we kind of have to be at the back. And having our man, Mr. Rosario, on her a few times, usually he's at the back anyway. And I agree with you. I wish there was a bit more pace for her. You can't really predict these things beforehand. Nevertheless, every time she runs well. So just hopefully one day we get lucky in them. But I agree, we would love to see some pace with her.
Well, you kind of you avoided Warlike Goddess for Atomic Blonde, so I thought he'd have a big shot. The horse had a cut on his leg. Maybe it's still healing, but how's Cortez going to beat this horse come Saturday?
Yeah, I'm
Warlike
not
Goddess.
sure if I'm not sure if it's official if Warlock Goddess is officially going to run or not. But I mean, don't worry about the others. When you have a horse doing well, you just point for it. You know, we do every time we run in a big race, we do Ragasons, where it's not our interpretation of the horses, how they're going to perform, but one of our the head of the Ragasons, the head individual called Jake. And it's great. As long as you fit and you're one of the top 3 or 4 choices, we go for it. You should never duck one horse. There's many times we could all recall where a heavy favorite does not fire. And you wish if you had the second choice, you would have been in the race. So you should never duck one good horse, even if I have a tremendous amount of respect for Warlock Goddess. She has not run in a while. Eventually, you would expect her age would catch her. I said that a few times, and she proved me wrong several times. I think we went second to her, maybe in like 3 or 4 grade ones. But Cortez is a very good horse. More importantly than Warlike Goddess, is the Godolphin is going to be very strong. And that is a big nuisance. If there's a way we can not have Godolphin come to America, it would be a great thing to take place, because unfortunately they're going to be running in a lot of the divisions and the races we're looking for Atomic Blonde, Parnac, and Cortez. But more importantly, the horse is doing very well. Just trust me, the works at pacing are great, and he's a neat horse. He's a very talented horse. You shouldn't be worried about anyone else. Just worry about his well-being, and good things would happen.
Well, I'll see you on Saturday. I'm coming up.
All right, Jeff.
So you're going to be there, Joey B?
Yes, sir, man. Wouldn't miss it for the world.
Good. All right, but listen, one more thing. Promise to appear. Seems to me that horse was set the race last year, and you had to scratch her, and I don't know what's going on with this horse.
It's good. She's supposed to join us soon. She's actually in full work. She's breezing at the moment. She's going to join us soon. She had a setback, not once but twice. I think she made the entry box once or twice, and she had a small little setback and then a more significant setback. But she's fully healed from it, and it's from a setback that should maybe never be a situation again. Or she had a stress fracture behind, but she's fully resolved. If you look at it now, she's on her way back. You have nothing to worry about. The only thing that's annoying is it was a lengthy time. That's it. But the well-being of the filly and the soundness, as of now, it's touch wood. It's perfect, intact.
Any idea when she might run?
Not sure when. But she needs to join me first. It's a bit tough to get to the races before she joins me, but she's doing well. I got a good update from her just recently. I think
Just
like
one last one, Joey. These 2-year-olds, which do you think are going to be the first ones to run?
It's a simple question.
You had to guess.
The fastest one usually runs first. I like that. No, I don't know about that. If I had to guess blindly, I'd probably maybe go with I don't know, maybe the B Jersey filly. She came from the Tyrrell sales, and you don't have to worry about fitness or teaching them the name of the game. They've been through it. So I just have to teach them how to do it mentally the right way, I suppose. But I mean, it's a good batch for West Points. So hopefully there'll be plenty to pick from.
Jeff,
Okay.
thanks for calling in, buddy. I'll see you there on Saturday. Looking forward to it. I hear from a little birdie that Christoph is on. Christoph, if you want to chime in and ask your son some embarrassing questions, you're more than welcome to. But we have another question from a West Point partner here, Arthur Roy, who wants to know the Great Chain. Is it too early to tell if he's a turf or a dirt horse? And would you still start him on the dirt to start his career, even if you felt like he was more of a turf horse?
So Dad, I think, just joined because he's doing billing. When he does billing, we avoid him like the plague. I mean, it's a scary time because we're all getting in trouble, because then he goes back and he sees everything we've done for the last 30 days for everything, movements, medication, treatments, everything. That's where he goes through, and he goes through everything meticulously. So we avoid him at all costs. That's why Tom thought it was a good idea that he did not do this call, to be honest with you, because today's the day of billing. Plus, we're closing Florida and we're officially moving up to New York. In terms of turf or dirt, if it's whenever you work a horse and they don't create you an emotion, as the boss would say, on the grass, run them on dirt. This country is made on dirt racing. Dirt's the name of the game. We're going to struggle at aqueducts, unfortunately, for 2 years because dirt's going to be heavily used. We're limited on turf, and we're also limited with weather. So if it's indifferent between the two surfaces, always go dirt. And probably we make a mistake not trying enough horses on dirt. We've got all of us get bollockings from the boss saying let's try more horses on dirt because in case they're dirt, the upside of having a dirt horse far outweighs having a turf horse. There's more options on dirt. You can do year-round racing on dirt. When races are off the grass, you can run them on dirt. And you have more opportunities, especially considering that Naira is going through the reconstruction. So it's the same turf course at Aqueduct where they really restricted your turf races. So my fantasy is, yes, that all of them are dirt at the moment. And then you can run them as many times as you like and not worry about the weather forecast like we do this week at Belmont, for example. And is it too early to tell? Probably too early to tell, but he's athletic, he's handy, he's not the biggest, he's medium size, and I don't know, he's racy looking. Whenever we get going with him, wouldn't take him long, I bet. He's a lot with what you like to have in a horse.
Absolutely. All right. Who we got here? Somebody trying to chime in? Thought that might have been Christoph jumping in.
Can you hear me?
I hear him.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I've been on it for the last 30 minutes. I don't know if you could hear me or not. Anyway, Miguel did a great job, and I agree. I agree fully with everything he said.
Thank you, Christoph. Well, thank you for your seal of approval. We appreciate it. And
Kertész is doing very well for the Manual. It'll be a very tough race. Manual is one of the main 3 or 4 tough races of the year in New York. I don't know yet about that Mott's filly. I don't know yet about the Godolphin. No, I do know about the Godolphin because I see them train every morning. Kertész is doing great. He was a little bit rank at Gulfstream. The whole idea is to have him wherever Rosario wants to be. It doesn't matter as long as you get him relaxed. If he's relaxed, he will finish well. He's too rank and if he's training him too much in the first part of the race, and that will take some of his finish away. I'm extremely excited about it. I'm running another horse who usually goes on the lead called Stony Port. So there is a minimum of pace for sure in the race, which is good for us. And it's very exciting. It's the kind of races which are the best races in New York. So it's fun.
Absolutely. Well, just one quick comment from you, Christoph, on running 1-2 on Sunday and the license fee stakes. That was pretty awesome.
They both run great. The filly in front at the Dream Trip, and she won. I'm delighted. She's a stakes winner, so it's great. I actually thought that if you were a handicapper, the filly who finished second might be the best filly of the race. The trip was just not as good. But she ran very game, and we've got the whole year ahead of us, and something good will happen.
Absolutely. Christoph, thanks for calling in. He sounds like a sports radio caller. First time, long time. Christoph, come on the line. Miguel, thank you for the time as well. Excellent explanation and summary of all the horses we have with you guys. You guys are obviously on a roll with us, and we want to keep that going through the spring and the summer. Thanks to all the partners.
Joe, can I jump in and ask a question? It's Minas. Sorry.
No, shoot.
So Miguel, one question I was curious about is choice of jockey. You guys use a range of different jockeys, Rosario, Dylan, you've used Flavian. How do you go about choosing like what jockey is on a horse, or is it a negotiation with agents? How do you make that choice?
It's never up to the agent. It's always up to us. Never up to the agent. It's always up to Miguel and I to decide what jockey fits each horse better and what choice do we have. And according to the choice in the horse, then we try to make the best decision. On the better one, it's kind of nice to keep the same jock all the time, just because they're the leading jocks and they make less mistakes than the other one. And you don't want to change too much. So the jockey doesn't have to learn all the time what kind of horse he's going to ride.
Gal, anything to add?
No, it's true. It's true. You would love to have consistency for your better horses. And to give or take, it's no surprise at the moment that Joel rides a lot for the stable. And then there's maybe another jock who's taking a bigger role in the stable, which is probably Dylan Davis. He's been running more and more for us. But nevertheless, we use Irad, Pratt, all the big guys. It's just whenever there's a division that they're able to ride more for us and commit more for us, we'll use them in that division. As a result, Pratt and Irad, a lot of times they're open in the sprint races because some of the main supporters they have don't have that many turf sprinters or whatever division it is, or New York breds. That's why you saw Pratt on turf sprinter for us and Irad on the other one. It's whatever we can get a long-term commitment for in a certain jock in the division, we'll try to go that way. So it's important. Dad mentioned something about the jocks agents. He really can't stand it. For many reasons, he does not deal with jockey bookings because he does not do well with dealing with agents on that front. So we make sure that he doesn't have to deal with it. That's why he's so vocal against agents, because he can't wrap his head around their purpose. But that's okay. He just thinks that certain jocks should just blindly say yes to us all times, and then whatever happens, c'est la vie. But I mean, we'll see. It's a bit of an art, a little bit of leverage. But there's also times that we probably should not have had a better jock on a horse, but because we use our way to the stable and our backing and our relationship, we're able to usually get top jocks. I think very few times you'll see us in a race where you're wondering, why do we have a certain jock on it and we have a lesser jock? It doesn't tend to ever happen with us because it's something that we take serious and something you have to be organized well in advance.
Absolutely. Great track record, obviously, for you guys and for the Ducks that ride our horses with you guys. It's been a great spring and great spring so far. As I said earlier, couple wins. We got a big race, obviously, coming up on Saturday, and let's keep it rolling. Thank you, Miguel. Thank you, Christoph, for your time. Thank you to the partners for tuning in. Thanks to Jeff Lowe and Aaron Birkenhauer behind the scenes working that slideshow for us. Appreciate the time. We'll see you next time here on Tuesdays at 2.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.